Hey everyone, Kyle here. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain a little bit. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.fm. They'll have everything you need all in one place. I can speak from my experience. It's been awesome so far and super easy. So go check it out, guys, and we'll see you later. All right, I think we're good there. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm Kyle Rasmussen. Today I have Phoebe with me. Phoebe, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad that you're here today.
Me too. I'm excited.
Yeah, excited to talk about your travel experiences and, see if we can help the listeners out and help them have, a good adventure in the future as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know when we were talking about setting this podcast up, you were mentioning to me that you went to Charleston.
Yes.
We had a good conversation about that. So kind of tell me and the listeners, what was that experience like?
So honestly, it was a whim travel. Me and my best friend were hanging out. We were like, I think it was last October. We were at a Halloween party. And we were like, let's go somewhere soon. Somewhere that's inexpensive to go to, but it'll be fun. And we landed on Charleston. So we just decided, let's pick a 3-4 day weekend and we'll just go. And then what ended up happening was my mom and my sister joined too because my mom really wanted to go. So that turned out really fun. But it was just a whim. So we just went for 4 days in January, which the weather was better there than it was here.
Yeah.
So I liked that. It was still cold and rainy, but it was really fun. I think biggest reason we really wanted to go, the whole point of the trip was to go antiquing.
Mm.
We didn't do it. We got distracted doing everything else.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. The day that we realized we went there to go antiquing, we were like, oh crap, everything's closed. It's Sunday. Yeah. But yeah, it was just a whim.
Okay.
Fun. We like to go random places.
So how far in advance did you ultimately book everything?
So, we started talking about it in October, and then I think, if I remember correctly, we kind of just blew it off for a little bit, and then we were like, no, we're going to do it. So we really planned, if I remember correctly, we booked everything probably 2 months ahead of time. So it'd be November when we booked everything. I remember it being before Christmas, but yeah, we just went online. I found a hotel, which ended up being downtown, which was cool. Flights were fine. We went through Alaska, so that was always that's good. We both have the Alaska cards, so the companion came in handy. But yeah, it was really quick, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 months. I feel like 2 months is still a decent amount of time to kind of plan ahead,
mm-hmm.
but you're getting close to, it might get hard to find flights or something like that. Did you have any troubles finding any flights, hotels, anything like that?
No, I was worried that we were going to just because it was so close. We didn't actually have any issues finding flights, booking hotel, anything like that until I think it was a week or two before my mom called me and was like, hey, I just got a notice from Alaska. They changed flights or were canceling our flights. So I had to, on a whim, ask for extra time off work so that we could fly out a little earlier. But that was really the only travel issue that we had, and it wasn't even us. It was just the airlines.
Yeah.
I think it was because I think at that point our airport wasn't doing a late flight, so we had to figure stuff out. But it worked out.
Was this during COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was so last winter. So yeah, we were still in the middle of everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. In my flying over the last couple of years, there's definitely been a way more travel changes,
mm-hmm.
changes to the schedule of the flights and some getting canceled.
Very last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of stressful.
It's definitely been a bit of a hassle the last
mm-hmm.
couple of years, but it's got to be tough for the airlines too, with everything going on.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Can't be easy for anyone. So, when you were there, you said you was on a woman. How did you decide on Charleston, South Carolina, ultimately?
So honestly, we just Googled like cheap places to go in the winter. That was it. And
Okay.
Charleston seemed fun. I don't remember the other ones that came up on the list. I'm pretty sure we were on Pinterest. Charleston has great photo opportunities. It looks beautiful there. I'm a huge history fan. And then obviously we wanted to go antiquing. We like going thrifting and antiquing. So that was also a major point was the shopping.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I went to Charleston a few years ago as well, and there's so much history there.
Oh, that's great.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you get to go out to, what is it, Fort Sumter?
No, we didn't get to go to any forts. We did go to the Magnolia Plantation, which is beautiful and huge. And then we actually ended up doing a jail tour. I was not down for that at all. My mom and my sister really wanted to go. It's like a haunted jail tour. And this jail apparently is one of the oldest ones, like pre-America.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so I hate that kind of stuff. And so does my friend. So my mom and my sister talked us into it. And it was fucking scary.
Yeah.
We were like holding on to each other. I swear. I was so sore because we were holding on to each other so hard, and my mom and sister were just taking pictures and like having the best time ever. But I mean, I would do it again. It was scary as hell, but I would do it again.
Why was it so scary?
I don't like ghosts. I don't want to be touched. I don't want any of that. I like watching the shows, but
was it really like a very creepy kind of place to be?
Yes, very scary. So I got touched. My friend got touched. My mom and my sister, of course, did not get touched. I think it's because they want it to be. Whereas I didn't want to be. But yeah, it's really
like
scary.
Touched by a ghost?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was super scary. Or at least I think I got touched. But yeah, it's a really old jail. So like I said, if I remember correctly, it predates America. And at the time that it started, it was, I don't remember the word for it, but basically where they throw dead bodies. And just kind of let them decompose. And that was like the spot in town where all the dead bodies would go. So obviously before it was a jail, it was just this hole, pretty much. And then they built a jail on top of it. And there were some awful people that were there. I guess it was men and women that were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they had different, so they have like the basement, and then they have a couple different levels on top of that. Like the top level was where they kept the scariest people, which is where I got touched and my friend. But yeah, it was freaking scary.
Oh man, yeah, that's not my cup of tea at all. I hate that kind of scary stuff.
Yep.
I think there was, I'm sure you probably did this as well, but I went with my mom to Charleston, and we went on a walking tour of the city.
Yes.
And I know that there was an option to do like a nighttime ghost kind of haunted tour, and I was like, nope, not down for that at all.
I don't blame you. If I hadn't had my mom and sister convincing me, or actually they forced me. It wasn't even a convincing, like, they're like, we're going.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone. Definitely not. But I did do a walking tour, a daytime one.
Yeah. What did you think about the walking tour?
I loved it. We had the cutest old lady that's ever existed. She is like Charleston, cute Southern belle, just the sweetest lady. And she's super lively. And it was kind of cool. You know, she kind of talked about the history of Charleston and how they're trying to preserve it. All of the houses down there, the old houses, a lot of them are still being preserved, and they get, like, awards for preserving them. But it was really nice. It was cool. Yeah. It was cold that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty wild. You know, obviously there's so much history there, but especially, you know, growing up on the West Coast where everything's a lot newer, and then you go back east and, you know, there's some buildings from the 1700s, the 1800s that... You know, it's just wild to see how much more things have happened in those places. Yeah,
and that's what I like. I like that kind of stuff. I like learning about those things. So it's kind of cool going and walking on those cobblestones or seeing that super old building. I love that. Yeah.
So what other places have you really enjoyed the history of that you've been to?
So main places, I love the East Coast. Again, history. I would say my second favorite place besides Charleston was Boston. I loved Boston. Okay. History.
Tons of history.
Food. I got to go to Salem, which was cool. I know I just said I don't like ghosts and witches and everything, but I loved that. That was super cool. I feel like you have to do that. I mean, I like that history of it. Like, I remember learning about the Salem witch trials, and that has always interested me. but I don't like ghosts.
Yeah. Did you go to the, I think it was a church at one point. Now it's a museum, and they talk about the witch trials and everything in it.
In Salem?
Yeah, in Salem. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't remember the church or anything like that. I did go to the cemetery where they have like a preserved area for the people that were obviously put to death for being witches. One of them including a dog, which I didn't realize.
I remember that now.
Yeah, there was one place. The town is really small. Like, you're pretty much able to walk it in a day. Yeah. I just happened to get there a little later in the day and kind of took my time, so I didn't get to go to the witch house, which might be what you're talking about, and that was at like the very end of town. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was, I went, it was earlier this year. I went up there, and yeah, there was a witch house, but there was like a church where, I remember we went into the main room, and like up above they had like animatronic like people, and it like they had a narrator, and it depicted like each of the steps of the witch trial and stuff like that. It was super interesting. Neat. Yeah. I don't remember doing that. I don't think I did. I know I did like a little, maybe a little museum. I don't remember the animation or animatronics like that, but I do remember a small museum that was right next to the cemetery. Interesting. Yeah. They definitely have embraced the whole witch. Oh yeah, it's super Halloween town. Yeah, you know, like Disney Channel. Yeah, it's basically like Halloween year round there. Yeah, I happened to go in October when I went, so that was really cool. I feel like timing. I had to do it since I went in October. Oh yeah, yeah. But it's was it? Did they have just like everything was really festive there? Yeah. Okay. Oh, it was full Halloween. Yeah. Yeah. Dang. Really cool. I think I went like April or May. So it definitely probably wasn't nearly the level that you saw. It was all Halloween. But all the shops are just like very interesting. Yeah. I didn't know it. The house, the book, Anne of Green Gables. That house is there, and I did a tour of that place. It was actually pretty cool. What'd you think of that? I didn't get to go inside there. You don't get to take pictures, so that's kind of cool. I mean, you don't have to share it with everybody, but it's a really old house. It definitely, you can tell that it was built onto over the years. The ceilings are super short. Yeah. I remember the tour guide saying that everybody says that ceilings were super short back then because everybody was short, but really it was to preserve heat. And I was like, that makes more sense. Yeah. But the house was really neat, and it actually had a couple different houses on the property. So it was neat to see. And it's super old. You can tell just by the additions that they've had, like weird nooks and crannies all over the place. But it was neat. Yeah. So Boston, any other places that really stand out to you in terms of history? I did go to Philly for like 3 hours. So I didn't really get to spend much time there, but I got to see the Liberty Bell, and that was neat. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that was cool. I think Boston it really stuck with me because I was there for so long. Yeah. And I really got to walk around down there, and that's where I've always really wanted to go. So. Did you do the Freedom Trail where you walk through the city? And it's got the line painted. Yeah, it's all over the place. It's really cool. I love Boston because everything's old. It's old. Like the North End was probably, I think, my favorite part. You literally are walking down this wobbly cobble street. Next thing you know, you're in front of Paul Revere's house. Yeah. And you're like, holy crap. And then you go in there. That's super cool. But a lot of the streets are still original. A lot of the buildings are super original. And it's just kind of walking back in time. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I remember when I went, I was with a buddy of mine, and I remember telling him, like, it's just when you're there in a place like Boston or Charleston too, you just feel so much more connected to the past. Yeah, absolutely. And like where we've come from versus out west. Like, I can imagine as a kid, you hear all these histories, you learn about all this history in school, but you never really like process it fully. But then to go to these places and see like where all of these things actually happened, pretty incredible. And they're so proud. Like, if I was from Boston, I'd be like, look, yeah, we're from Boston. Yeah. Like, we started this place. Or Charleston, like Charleston has crazy history, and they're all super proud of it. I mean, not all of it, but, they embrace it, and I love that. I feel like the West Coast doesn't really you're right,
Yeah.
have all of that history.
hmm We just got the mountains, which is
Still nice. Yeah. We had California.
Yeah. We got Los Angeles.
Yeah.
No, that's super interesting. I love all the history too.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely when I travel, I always try to go to all the museums and all the historical sites and stuff like that. That's what really interests me.
Same.
That was one of my questions I was going to have is do you ever do like a more vacation type of place where you sit on the beach and just relax?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I
Okay.
don't know why.
I like
I'm
it.
not that person. I
Yeah.
think the idea of it sounds so cool. Going to Hawaii or going to Mexico and sitting on a beach and just drinking and getting in the sun. Granted, I burn so fast, so maybe that's why. But vacation for me is doing stuff.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to just sit there.
Yeah.
I'd rather do a staycation and just sit on my couch.
Yeah.
Than go pay hundreds to thousands of dollars and sit on a beach. I could do that in Oregon.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you. I like it's fun to think about, like you said, like, oh, sit on the beach, whatever. But in reality, that's fun for about 5 seconds.
Absolutely.
And, I'm bored.
I take a good nap in the sun and I'm over it.
Yeah.
I want to go do something. I want to see stuff. I want to eat food. I want to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's sad too that a lot of people don't get to see the history and like really understand again where we've come from, how life became the way it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people just also don't really think about it, maybe aren't interested in it, like you and I. So definitely different types of vacationing.
Yeah, for sure. I know I plug my book a little bit here. I'm writing a travel book.
Cool.
To kind of lay out some of these thoughts, and that's one of the points that I'm making. And in traveling with others, one of the challenges can be, some people don't like to do the same thing as you.
Yeah, going with groups is hard.
Yeah, I think especially, for maybe more history buffs like us, I definitely know a lot more people that like sitting on the beach versus going and exploring all the history.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I feel like I've been pretty lucky. Most of my friends like kind of that side, or they're at least willing to indulge with me. I feel like my friends pretty much like to just go see everything. Yeah.
So you mentioned antiquing. Have you done that in a lot of different places like Boston?
So all of the places that I've gone, I always get so distracted, I think, just because I'm so excited to be there that I don't do it. And I always get really mad at myself. The only time that I've really made an effort to go antiquing is when I did my road trip to South Dakota.
Okay.
And there were just antique stores along like the highways and freeways, so we stopped.
Did you go to Wall, South Dakota?
No.
Oh, you should go there.
Okay.
It's not really antiquing. I think they have some antiques there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest tourist trap I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Not to say that it's not cool to see, but it's by the western end of the Badlands National Park.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this town that is basically one massive store and restaurant kind of place.
Okay.
And it's all like souvenirs and different knickknacks and whatever. It's interesting to see, but it's kind of weird how it's basically out in the middle of nowhere, and it's this just massive souvenir store essentially.
I like souvenir stores though too.
Yeah.
I like a good bottle opener or a magnet or an ornament, but a whole town worth of that, I don't know.
Yeah. I would say if you're road tripping, definitely worth the stop. Especially if you've been in the Badlands all day. Mm-hmm. It's right there at the end.
Nice to see something.
Yeah. You can get, some water and, a nice meal and everything like that too.
Yeah.
So
might have to go back.
Yeah. So where did you road trip to in South Dakota?
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore?
Yep.
Okay.
It was my boyfriend's idea.
Yeah.
He had this thought in his head that when you buy a house, which we bought a house in July, he thought it's just a coincidence because all of his friends have recently purchased homes and they've all coincidentally gone on trips afterwards. So he thought that when you buy a house, it's a thing, you go on a trip. And I was like, well, if you want to go on a trip, let's go on a trip. And he was like, I want to go to South Dakota. and go see Mount Rushmore. And I was like, you're kidding. Of all the places that we could go see or go be, that's what you want to go do. And he was like, yes. So I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. So I figured it out. We ended up going. Is Labor Day in... I can never remember if it's Labor Day or Memorial Day in September. But this September...
Labor Day, I think.
I think it's Labor Day. I can never remember. Yeah. But we worked it out to where we left on a Wednesday night after work. Like, I got off work at 5 o'clock, went home, grabbed our dog, grabbed our bags, got in the car. And we drove overnight through the next day, got to South Dakota, and it was actually way cooler than I thought it was going to be. I feel like a jerk for thinking it was going to be dumb, but it was really cool.
It is pretty cool. I mean, it's wild, especially because, I mean, what'd they make that, like, 100 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, with the tools and technology to make something that crazy. Yeah. I mean, wild.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, like, a quick trip. You don't have to spend all day there. I really did... I didn't necessarily love, like, going into, like, the park and seeing the monument. I liked kind of seeing it from the roads. There's a lot of, like, twists and turns and highways along that way. So it was kind of cool seeing different angles. And, I mean, it's just built into the scenery. It's really neat. It's a good idea. And then the Crazy Horse Monument, which is even bigger, and they're actually starting to work on it now.
They're never going to finish that.
No, I don't think they will either. But they're trying. And that one's really neat, too. Yeah. Same thing, you kind of don't have to spend all day there. You just get to see it and you're like, wow, that's really actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the amount of work that, especially the Crazy Horse Monument, like, my gosh, that's so much work. I don't know how people do it.
I don't think it's something I would ever want to do for a living.
Yeah.
Carving into the side of a mountain.
I feel like, same thing with, you know, the great art pieces and stuff like that take years and years to make. How they have the patience to do that baffles me.
Not me. I don't have any patience. I would be like, I'm done with this. Scrap it. Give me a smaller canvas. Yeah.
I think even like exploring the history, like, you know, you can get lost in museums for hours and hours, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm not going to spend all day studying all of this history all the time. It's just too much.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's cool to see. And honestly, driving through that area is actually pretty neat. It's very different than the Northwest.
Yeah.
You know how when it rains here, you can smell it. It smells clean. Rained over there, didn't change. There was no rain smell. It was super weird to me.
Yeah. So, yeah, you went, early September?
Yes.
Yeah. So was it like a typical Midwest, like thunderstorm, rainstorm kind of thing?
No, it was just like one night of rain, and then other than that, it was sunny weather. It was actually kind of warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went after spending a day and a half-ish in near Mount Rushmore. We stayed in Keystone, which is like the town 15 minutes outside of it. We packed all of our stuff back up and then started driving to Yellowstone. We took pretty much a full day to drive back. It's like a 10-hour drive. And we kind of just took our time going through Wyoming. Sheridan, Wyoming has the coolest gas station that's ever existed.
Really?
Yes. I think it's called 2 cents, if I remember correctly.
2 cents?
Yes.
I'm going to write that down.
It's so cool. And this is going to sound so dumb, but you can get shots of espresso on your own at that gas station. It's like a soda fountain for coffee. And
really?
My mind was blown. We went through Sheridan a couple times just in passing. And I was really mad at myself that I didn't get coffee there more often. But that was like the coolest thing about Wyoming that I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it was super cool. Probably lame for everybody, but I love coffee. So.
No, that sounds awesome. I'm a huge coffee fan, especially espresso.
Yeah, coming from Washington, you kind of have to be a coffee fan.
Yeah. I know. I was talking with. I have some really good friends that are from Iowa, and actually Eastern South Dakota, and they're like, yeah, we don't have coffee stands and Starbucks and stuff like that. Like everyone at home makes their own
Folders.
coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
or they go to the gas station and get the black coffee.
Yeah.
Like, there's not all the coffee that we have here.
Yeah, it's definitely a coffee culture on this side of the country.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that's probably from the lack of sun.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, I never thought about it.
At least in the Seattle area.
Yeah. Everybody needs a pick-me-up.
Yeah. Especially this time of year.
Yes.
Yeah, so have you gone outside of the country and seen some history in other places?
No, I haven't.
No,
I really want
okay.
to. I'm always saying I'm going to, and then I just haven't. I think just because, honestly, when I've looked, it's so expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And then the idea of saving all this money for so long and then going on the trip, you kind of forget about it, and I get sidetracked and come up with a different trip here in the country.
Yeah.
But I definitely have ideas. I'd love to go to Europe.
Mhm.
My mom and I have talked about doing, they do World War II tours over there.
Oh, yeah.
You go to different major parts of like the war,
Mhm.
and they kind of just take you along. And I think that would be super interesting. Again,
Yeah.
history.
Yeah. I know a guy who he went, it was like one of those tours, but it was like the Western Front, like World War One.
Yeah.
And basically just followed along the Western Front kind of thing. It
I
sounded
think
really
it'd be
interesting.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents talk about moving to England all the time. So I'm like, well, when they retire over there, I'll just go over
There
there
you
all
go.
the time.
Yeah.
I can have somewhere to stay and take a train to a different country.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hard part, is getting over there.
Yeah.
It's so difficult and expensive, but once you're there, everything's really close and accessible.
I know, it's not like the States. I mean, it takes
Yeah.
how many hours to go from one side of the country to the other? Like 8 to 12, depending on your flights.
Yeah.
Where you could take a 12-hour plane, probably, or however long, to get over the water. And then I heard it takes just a couple hours or like maybe even an hour to get to a different country, depending on where you're at.
I mean, their countries are like our states, basically.
Yeah, that's insane.
So, yeah. I definitely want to go back to Europe some more. I've gotten some of the Western Europe, but definitely need to go further east, like Germany and like Poland and those places.
Yeah, I think
I'd
that'd be
love
super
to
neat.
see like the World War II history there.
Yeah, that's like one major thing on my bucket list. I think if I'm gonna go to Europe for my first time, that's the trip I'm gonna go on. And then anything else after that will be whatever.
Yeah.
Figure it out when I'm there.
Yeah. When have you started planning for that already?
No, I'm planning for another trip right now. Going back to the East Coast, but the plan is to go with my mom and my sister this time for like 9-10 days-ish. So
Where are you planning to go?
we're gonna go to New York and DC, which
Okay.
I've been to those places already. Same trip when I went to Boston, I kind of went everywhere. But my mom loves history just like me, or actually I like it just like her. So she really wants to go to DC and go through all those museums,
Yeah.
which I super want to do as well. And then my sister's bucket list is to go to New York. So
Yeah.
we're planning a trip to kind of do both.
Mhm.
And I think it'll be fun. It'll be like my sister's graduation gift.
Okay.
Kind of.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
got to take along though.
Yeah, absolutely. I pretty much get to plan it.
Yeah,
and
there you
then,
go.
then I get to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, DC, you could spend forever learning the history there.
I know. I'm excited. I think it'll be super fun. I didn't get to spend much time there. I got to spend a day
Oh
when I
gosh.
was there last. And I got to see a lot. I mean, I walked into the aviation museum to go to the bathroom and then I had to leave. But the monuments, like the Lincoln Memorial, I knew in pictures that it was huge, but when you see it in person, you're
Yeah.
like, what the hell? This thing is ginormous. It kind of like took my
Mhm.
breath away for a minute.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's huge.
It's so, I feel like it's so awe-inspiring just to see, like, obviously Lincoln was a
Yeah.
huge figure in history in our country,
Yeah.
and just to see that memorialized is pretty wild.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it when I was there, but behind the memorial, there's like a small museum, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was too busy staring at it to wander around the side of it. But I heard it's super neat inside, so hopefully when I go to DC, I get to go in there. Yeah.
Did you get to see it at night?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I went back on a bus to
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah, I mean, seeing it in the day is awesome, but I got to see it day and night. Seeing it at night, I don't know. There's something, the way they have the
Magical.
lighting. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I
And the
bet.
water reflects off the light reflects off the water and everything.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
cool. But reminds me of the House of Cards like intro. Have you seen House of Cards?
No.
Oh no. But I remember that like the intro to their to the show was showing the monuments at night and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Well,
But-
I'll make a thing and do it. I'll make sure I do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Washington, D.C., you could spend one day just going through two of the museums there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping that we get at least we want to spend at least 2 to 2.5 days there, and then most of the time in New York, just because there's so much to see there too. And it's so big, you kind of have to plan ahead to walk a couple blocks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know it's big. But
Did you do when you were there before? Did you take taxis or the subway or do anything like that?
No. So when I went originally, I was on a bus tour. So it was kind of all planned out for us. So we got up super early, took our bus in from New Jersey, went through the Lincoln Tunnel, I think is what it is, if I remember. Went to Wall Street, did a cruise, saw the Statue of Liberty, went into the Empire State Building, went to the Met. What else? Drove everywhere. I really want to spend a full day in Central Park. I heard you can spend a full day in Central Park and still not see everything, so that's one of my goals.
Pretty massive.
Yeah, it's huge. So I want to try and spend as much time in there as I can. I think it would be cool. Maybe I'll find some antique stores while I'm there.
There you go.
I'll try and make a plan to do it. But yeah, I didn't. I was kind of forced to go.
Yeah.
In different places. I didn't get to just hang back and do whatever I wanted. Yeah. But I got to see a lot of things, so can't really complain.
Yeah. So I know we've talked about this bus tour before. Just to share with the listeners share a little bit about that trip.
Do your research always. So how old was I? I don't even think I was 21 yet. I was like, I'm going to go to the East Coast and I'm going to do it as cheap as I can. I want to see everything and as little amount of time, right? So I found this website where you can buy bus tickets, like charter bus tickets. So, I mean, it's not like a school bus. It's kind of comfy. So I found it. It was 10 days worth of this bus tour. I went to New York City. I went to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Niagara Falls, Boston. So a lot of places in 10 days. And the ticket, I think, was like maybe $400. Paid for my hotel, paid for the traveling on the bus.
Crazy. That's so cheap.
It's so cheap. And now I know why. I get to JFK at like 6 in the morning. I did an overnight flight. And waiting for this bus to pick me up, the coordination wasn't the best. Finally, I think it was around like 9 or 10, the bus driver comes and we all pile in, everybody that flew in. I think they were still waiting for other people to get there throughout the day. So we all pile on this bus, and they take us to Flushing, New Jersey, like from The Nanny. You remember The Nanny, the TV show?
The Nanny? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the big hair. Yeah. So they took us where she was from in the show. And it's dirty there. It's dirty. They took us into this basement office, and I was like, I'm going to die on this trip, and it hasn't even started. I literally thought I was going to be murdered. Ended up being great. They were like, okay, we're waiting for other people, so like go a couple blocks down, there's this huge mall, had some food, went back, got on the bus, and then we had the option to do like a New York City at night tour, but I was so tired, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to make it through.
Yeah.
So went to bed, got up the next day, everybody's on the bus this time, and the bus, or like the tour guide, is not speaking English. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I don't know what language it was. It was potentially either like Korean, Japanese, Chinese, something. I don't know what it was, but it was not English. He did speak English. There were 5 other people on this entire bus that spoke English. There was this couple from Australia and then a couple other people from the States. And I was like, oh my God, this whole tour is going to be in a different language and I'm not going to know what's going on or where I'm going and I'm going to get murdered. But he was actually really cool and super funny. He took turns. Each destination, he would switch back and forth between languages. And it just added to my tour.
Yeah.
It was really fun. The language barrier was a little much sometimes, but overall, like, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
So, I mean, it sounds like it still worked out all right. You got to see a lot of the history and everything.
Yes, so much. And I planned it to where you can plan it. Like, I would still do it. I would still go back on this bus tour and go different places. You can plan where you want to start and where you want to end. Oh, okay. So started in New York, went to Philly, went to DC, back up to Niagara Falls, back down and end in Boston. Cool. And then I was able to stay in Boston for like 3 or 4 more days. Got to go to Salem and everything. Yeah. So that kind of worked out, just being able to coordinate that and spend more time in a place I wanted to spend. But I did get to see a lot of things in 10 days.
Yeah, that seems like quite the trip for 10 days.
Yeah, I was tired.
Yeah, I bet. That's one of the kind of the love-hates I have with group trips is that you get to see a lot, but it's so much, and you really pack it all in, and it's like, okay, you don't really get to take in everything.
Yeah, I had an hour and a half to go through the Met.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and if anybody's ever been to the Met, that is not a lot of time. Like, you could spend a whole day in the Met and still potentially not see everything, or like focus on whatever you want.
Yeah.
So yeah. That was a
lot. So talking about the bus tour, knowing what you know now, you mentioned do your research.
Yes.
Is that kind of the tip that you'd have for people, or would you recommend anything else?
Yeah, do your research. If you find something cheap, it's probably cheap for a reason. And I realized afterwards that the website that I used actually advertises for small companies.
Oh, okay.
Didn't see that. Again, yeah, just do your research. Always.
What website did you use?
I think it was literally called like Bus Tours.
Okay.
It was something tours. I could probably find it if I dug. It's been so long that I've looked at it though.
Yeah. I know one that I use a lot for planning. So I use TripAdvisor a lot.
Okay.
Which is a very credible, I think it's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like travel site out there. But one of the nice things that they do, I've done this a few times in the past, is if there's like some sort of tour I want to do. I remember traveling in New Zealand, and my plan, I had, I think, like 10 days. And my plan was to basically start in Auckland and make my way down to Queenstown, which is all the way on the South Island.
Okay.
And I ended up doing a few different bus tours to like make that happen. But one of the nice things that they do on TripAdvisor is they have like certified companies, like tour companies and stuff like that. So it was nice to see, like, I could see all the reviews and everything from it. And it was nice to be able to see, like, okay, this is very credible. Like, this is exactly what's going to happen. They usually tell you that they speak English or something.
Yeah. To be fair, the reviews were amazing.
Well, yeah, and it sounded like it was
great. And I was
for
like,
good
okay.
reason.
Yeah. I've never used TripAdvisor. Ever planning a trip. I didn't even think about it, which sounds dumb now.
For sure.
Yeah. I've always used, like, Google Flights or like Booking.com or Groupon.
I like Booking.
Groupon gets you some cheap tour prices.
Okay.
Like when we did the Old City Jail tour in Charleston, super cheap. Yeah, I recommend.
They have like deals and discounts on there.
Yeah, for just about everything, like hotels. I don't think flights. I've never tried for flights. I just assumed probably not. But tours, restaurants. Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I know. I don't know how I got it on TripAdvisor, but
The Office. Do you watch The Office?
Yeah, I don't know. It's always been a good site and good credibility. And I've noticed more and more over the years, a lot of like tourist like a museum or something. They'll have their TripAdvisor rating on the window. Like,
gotcha.
You know how they post, your like cleanliness rating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'll have like a TripAdvisor rating on there.
Good to know.
So I figure that's probably a good site.
Yeah, I can't believe I've never really thought about using it.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible traveler. Don't take any of my advice.
Yeah. No, I feel like traveling is just really just going out and kind of knowing that things are going to go well or exactly how you plan them.
And I'm a meticulous planner. Like, I need a plan for some reason. I just need it, and it never goes the way I want it to, which, I mean, always for the better. I don't think I've ever been on a trip and I've been like, that sucked. Never. It always works out.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes you, like, when things don't go exactly how you plan it, you end up experiencing something totally unexpected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, or you run into a different monument or something that you didn't expect to.
For sure.
Which can be some of the best moments.
Yeah, surprises.
I mean, I'm the same way. I'm definitely a huge planner. I try to plan in, like, this is time for things to go wrong.
I don't do that, and I think that's why things go wrong.
Yeah.
I need to start doing that.
I feel like it's just inevitable. I
Yeah.
mean, flight delays, something happens at the hotel, or
Things being closed on Sundays.
closed on Sundays.
For some reason, you forget like it's different than it is at home.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. That, like, if there's something I specifically want to see in a place, I always make sure it's open, because I've made that mistake too. Like, you go all the way across the country or across the world, and then you show up and you're like, oh crap, it's not open.
Yep.
The one day that I have.
Yep. It's always gonna happen with something.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. So what other I guess challenges have you had traveling, and what have been some successes as well?
The one that comes to the top of my head was when I was coming back from Vegas this year. Remember in February when we had a crazy amount of snow?
Yes.
Yeah, I was coming home from Vegas that day. I ended up, we made it to Seattle. We were literally sitting on our plane, the tiny plane that gets you back home, and they were like de-icing it. I think we sat on the plane for 45 minutes to an hour, them just trying to de-ice the plane as much as the snow was pounding down. Finally, they kicked us off, and they were like, Seattle's closed. Like, no one's going anywhere tonight, which they lied. All the big planes were moving. It was just the little planes that weren't. And at that point, too, like, the pass was closed, so, you know, you're not going anywhere.
You're
but
stuck,
we panicked, because I didn't plan for this, you know. We panicked. I went to the help desk, and they were like, your plane's not canceled. And I'm like, they literally just kicked me off of my plane. Yeah, it's canceled. And they were like, well, sorry, like, hang out. And so I was like, I'm getting a car. So I ran. Well, it didn't run. It was snowing. And we had to go from on the other side of the airport to go to, like, the rental car areas. Everything except for two-wheel drive cars were taken at that point, and it's freezing. So we ended up, don't ever, like, if you ever get kicked off your plane, stay in that area. Don't leave the airport and go back, because you have to go back through security and everything. So I didn't even think about that. I was in such a panic to get home that I didn't think about it. But learn from that mistake. Stay where you're at. Yeah. They'll help you. There's food, bathrooms. You'll be fine. We ended up having to spend the night basically in, like, the entrance to the airport. Oh, it was awful. I barely slept. It was cold. We finally were able to get, like, one of the little commuter buses that go between airport to airport. It took 6 hours to get over the pass. We were having to constantly stop and chain up, stop, take the chains off, stop, chain up. Oh we gosh. Finally, I think it took us probably 4-ish hours to get from SeaTac to Cleellum. Okay. And then the rest of the ride was pretty quick. But I was so terrified that I was going to die on that bus that I forced myself to sleep on that bus ride. Yeah. So that was probably one of the worst experiences. But obviously there was nothing we were going to be able to do. Yeah. Like, it's snow. Yeah.
For listeners that don't know, normally to get back to where we're at right now from SeaTac, the airport in Seattle, it's, what, 2.5 hours maybe?
If you drive fast, it's like 2.
Yeah.
You
know. But in the wintertime, there's a big mountain pass in the way, and the snow can be pretty awful.
That was the first time I think I've ever had an issue with the pass. Ever. Usually, it's good. Yeah. But not this time. Not this one time.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you want to be spending a lot of your time doing in the winters, going back and forth over that.
No. Props to all my truck driver friends that do it.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that, especially in a semi where you do have to chain up all the time.
Yes. And just idiot drivers around you. Like, I can't imagine being a semi truck driver.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. That job's so hard. I don't know how people do that anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that's my biggest, like, about a trip. Yeah. But successes on trips, I think it's just my planning. Yeah. I'm able to meticulously decide on the things that I want to do and that I think are going to be super cool. But I feel like all of my trips are so unique. I can't just pick one that's like, this has been the best one ever, because they're all so different. The last one you go on is always the best one you've been on until you go on the next one, and you're like, damn it, that's the best one.
Yeah, so what's kind of your process for planning for a trip?
flights first. I always start tracking through Google Flights because they'll go. So usually I'll say like, let's go in April. Okay. So for example, this trip that I'm planning with my mom and my sister, we're specifically going in April because spring break. My mom is a teacher. My sister is in high school. So they have the same time off.
Yeah.
And I can take time off still. So we're going to do like that first week of April. So I start planning through Google Flights, and I kind of just track up until I start to get nervous. I'm like, okay, I really need to get a flight now. And I kind of do different options. At first I was like, let's start in New York and then go to DC. But then I was like, maybe we should start in DC and go to New York. So just do your research. Like, you can really honestly flip-flop things around. Yeah. Once I have dates in mind and I'm tracking the flights, then I have this weird thing where I book like 5 hotels in 5 different cities all at the same time, just to make sure I have something. And then once the dates get closer, I'm like, okay, I don't need this one. I don't need this one. This one's a good spot, but this one's a little cheaper. How often are you going to spend the night or like be in the hotel? Yeah. So that's kind of the process. And then in between then I get on Pinterest a lot and Google Maps and look at restaurants and obviously the top places to go. So
no, I pretty much look at Google Maps for fun all the time. I'm like,
right? Yeah, me and my friends will talk about a certain place like Charleston, and we'll Google it and be like, oh my god, this place is super cool. Yeah, like, yeah, Google Maps is great.
Yeah, normally what I'll do, like, after flights and hotels, I'm kind of the same way. I'll do the flights and hotels first, and then once I have all that kind of locked in, I see, okay, what exactly do I want to do there? And that's where TripAdvisor comes in. They kind of tell you the top things.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure Pinterest and all that.
Pinterest is great.
Yeah. I've used Pinterest like once. I don't understand it at all.
It's great. They have so many different options. Not only just clothing, but travel too.
Okay. I might have to check it out.
It's pretty much all blogs.
Okay.
So you can get people's honest opinions when they went on their trips, which is neat.
Okay. Sounds good. But yeah, anyways, like, I think it's nice to see, like, okay, if I want to go to like this specific museum, where is it at, like, in relation to my hotel and like the next place I want to go to, and then you can kind of plan out, okay, here's how I'm going to kind of plan out the day. Yeah. Or the days that I'm there. That way it can be efficient and and things
get
like that.
Get as much in as you can. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally. I like to try and do something that, if it's possible, I like to try and do something I haven't done before. So like on this trip coming up, I've never been on like a train. Okay. Like, I've never taken a train to go somewhere really. So the plan is, instead of taking a plane from New York, DC, New York, we're going to take a train. Yeah. Which will be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Just sit on a commuter. Yeah. And they're fairly inexpensive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've traveled on a few different trains. Usually they're really cheap. Especially compared to flying. Yeah. So. Yeah, they're especially the commuters. Amtrak actually has this one that I really want to do. I just have to convince myself that it's worth the money. It's a Starlight Coast Tour. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Interesting. You start in Seattle, go all the way down like the West Coast coastline, like along the water in a train. And then you stop in LA and turn right back around and go back up. I think if I remember reading it right, it's between like 6 and 9 days of train travel. And you get to like stop in different ports. Do you have to get on the same train, or can you get on different trains?
No, I think you'd have to get on a different train on your way back. Going down there, I think you kind of stick with the same train, but I haven't dug into it too much to know. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I think it'd be really fun to do like a cross-country train trip. I know one person who's done that, and it looked amazing. Where'd they go? Or where'd they
went all over. I think they started like in Seattle or outside of Seattle, whatever. And just like went all the way over to Chicago and like through Colorado and LA and Arizona. And it looks like a fun time. Yeah, you don't have to worry about driving. They have food there. I heard the sleeping conditions aren't like the most comfortable, but I guess give and take. That's what it is. My grandpa used to take the trains from Pasco to Chicago.
get right back on another train and come back just
Jeez.
to like get out of town.
Really?
And yeah, he loved it. He did it often.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Well, I think especially in the Western U.S., the landscape is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to just drive or take a train and just see the countryside.
Yeah, I agree. I never thought I would like going on a road trip. I thought I'm never going to be able to sit in a car for that long.
Yeah.
But then when you're going somewhere that you haven't seen before, it kind of makes it better.
Yeah.
Makes it more fun.
So how was that? Because you said it was a pretty quick trip. Like you guys basically drove straight through.
Yes.
How was that?
It was a lot. It was about 5 days total going there and back. And it was a lot of driving, but it was really neat. I was really worried that we weren't going to get to do anything. It was going to be more driving than anything, which, I mean, it was.
Yeah.
But it was neat. And it was fun because we had our dog, and he had so much fun.
Yeah.
But it was really worth it. I actually want to go on another road trip. Next time, I think I would definitely get, like, a trailer, just so you could stop and sleep if you needed to, instead of getting hotels. I mean, it's probably comparable in price, but you could literally stop at Walmart or like along the freeway and just like take a nap. But it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I think we went at the perfect time of year. Like there was no snow. We didn't have to worry about any bad weather. And it was just neat. This one is one that I didn't really plan a lot. I knew where we were going to be staying, but anything in between, I was like, surprise me.
Yeah. Huh.
But you can drive super fast over there.
Yeah.
In Wyoming, it's like 1,000 miles an hour, always. And it's great. I love driving fast. So that was fun. I had a hard time going back down to 70.
Oh, gosh,
after being there for 2 days.
All right. If she's taking a road trip, everybody watch out.
Yeah, watch out.
Yeah, I was... what was that like with the dog, too? I mean, I feel like that'd be hard for a dog to be in the car for that long.
Luckily, Mac is super chill. Like, he is just happy to be there with us. We obviously stopped to let him pee and drink and eat. I have a little Toyota Camry, so realistically, taking my car was not going to happen. So we actually rented like a mid-size SUV. We went to Spokane and picked it up because all of the rentals here in town suck. Yeah. So I went to Spokane, and I actually got to upgrade to like this brand new BMW.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, heck yes, we're doing that. If anybody knows that I rented that BMW, Mac was not in that car. Because you're not supposed to have pets. But I planned for it. I had a bunch of blankets and pillows because I figured we were probably going to be sleeping in that car a little bit. So we just threw everything down. We packed a cooler full of snacks and food and drinks, anything that we would need in case we didn't have anything around. Which out there in Wyoming, and mainly Wyoming, honestly, it's not like here. You go 30 miles and there's nothing in between. Maybe a state restroom. Like, that's it. So definitely glad I rented an SUV. Yeah. But other than that, it was really great. I drove most of the time, but that's just because I get really car sick and I'm also neurotic. But it was great. I loved it. Yeah. I would do it again.
Yeah, I did a really long road trip. Went through through Lewiston and Clarkson and then up into Montana. Went all the way across Montana into the Dakotas and down, back around, back to Colorado and New Mexico, Arizona, back to San Diego. That was one of the funnest trips I've ever been on.
How long did it take you?
It was like 16 days, I think. Okay. But I was like going back to college in San Diego, so that was my end point, and I stopped for a few days in Colorado to see family and everything. Gotcha. So, but yeah, I mean, I think, again, especially in the Western U.S., like, there's so much beautiful landscapes out here. It's fun to just drive through it.
Yeah. I mean, even the Midwest, because, I mean, I would consider the Dakotas kind of the Midwest. Like,
I would say
northern, you know?
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be flat lands, which, I mean, for the most part it is, but it's different than it is here, you know? Yeah. It was actually really neat. They have a lot of rocks over there. I mean, we have mountains, you know, but, like, the rocks are different there. And that's just neat to see. You don't see that every day. Yeah. Yeah. Did you go to Teddy Roosevelt National Park? No. I didn't even know about that.
You should do that. That's in North Dakota.
Oh, well, I didn't go there.
Yeah. Next road trip.
Yeah, next time we'll go there.
Yeah. No, it's actually really beautiful. Everyone hates on the Midwest, but I think there's some really beautiful places there.
Yeah, there's pretty spots everywhere.
Yeah.
You just have to know where to go, I guess.
I think it's nice to just appreciate like the natural beauty of the world.
I feel like maybe that's something because we're from Washington.
Yeah.
Like, we like the outdoors a little bit. Like, you're not going to go catch me like hanging out in a tent really very often, but I will definitely appreciate the scenery. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some of the best scenery up here, for sure.
Compared to a lot of places. Yeah. Absolutely.
We're like, oh my God, it's a tree. It's so beautiful.
Or like snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the rain here.
Yeah. Honestly. Like, this morning with the fog, I don't know if you have it where you're at, but like even just seeing the fog, like it's just it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, me being where I work, I drive from one end of the valley to the other. Well, not the valley, town. But yeah, it's different on one side of town versus the other. And out here, I like it in the mornings because when like the fog is like separating, you can start seeing the hills and see through the gap. It's cool.
Yeah, there's some pretty sunrises too over the mountain or over the hills. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I just love natural beauty.
Me too.
I remember when I was in San Diego, I mean, every day, like, even if the sunset wasn't that great, it was just amazing to see it.
Yeah. Well, it's different.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah. Any other, like, tips, tricks, advice you have for fellow travelers?
Make sure you're traveling with the right people.
Okay.
I know we talked about group travel.
Yeah.
Make sure you're going with people that want to do the same things as you.
Yes.
You know, especially if you're going to go, honestly, I think if you're going to go for more than 3 days, make sure you're going with people who want to do the same stuff.
Yeah.
And go with friends. Family's fun too. Being able to combine my friends and my family on one trip was actually really fun. Yeah. Didn't really think too much about it. I didn't think it would be weird, but it was way more fun. So. Yeah. And have fun.
Yeah. What's been like the wildest experience you've had?
Wildest experience. Probably my bus tour. Just the language threw me off so bad. Because I just didn't know. I just wasn't expecting it at all. And I was like, great, I'm going to be here for 10 days and not understand what's going on. But really, that's about it. Everything else has been good. Yeah.
What's been the best surprise?
Best surprise.
Sorry, kind of doing a rapid fire here.
Yeah, you are. No. Best surprise. I'm just gonna say the feeling of being in Boston. I don't even know how to describe it. I love it so much. Like, you're walking in history, and I just felt like I was walking in a history book, and I just was like I was supposed to be there. So that was great. I knew I was gonna like it, but I was surprised by how much I loved it. Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that feeling. You already had high expectations, and then it's even better than expected.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I know you mentioned it earlier, but what are some of the next adventures you have planned?
So, New York and DC again. My sister and I have talked about just going to California for a little bit. Other than that, I don't have anything crazy. I'd love to go to New Orleans, go to Tennessee. My family's from Tennessee, so I'd like to go back there. Maybe even Florida a little bit. The right parts. But yeah.
What are the right parts?
Well, like, I don't want to go to the swamp.
Yeah.
I've heard Fort Lauderdale is really nice.
Okay.
So I'd like to go there, I guess. But, yeah.
Yeah. I've only really been to Tampa Bay and I guess Orlando. Tampa Bay is pretty cool. That area, like, especially if you go out to, like, St. Petersburg and out on the beach area. But yeah, I'd love to see, like, more of, like, southern, like, Miami area, which I think is where Fort Lauderdale is. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it on a map somewhere. I just remember thinking, like, that looks cool.
Yeah.
I do want to go to Disney World.
Okay.
I love Disney. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So I'd love to just go experience that for, like, 5 months.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do that for 5 months.
I think I could do it. I think I could.
Just drink butterbeer every day.
Oh, God. I can't. That's so bad. It's awful.
What house would you be in in Harry Potter?
Well, Gryffindor. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously.
Everybody wants to be in that one.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd probably be like a Ravenclaw.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see it.
I don't know why, but I just feel like...
I feel like Ravenclaws are super smart.
That's, yeah, kind of the nerds of the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No offense, but yeah.
No, I embrace it now.
It's like the cool thing now.
Yeah, right. Cool. Well, I guess we can wrap it up here. I know we're coming up on an hour here and this thing's getting mad at us, but anything else that you want to mention before we hop off here?
Listen to the podcast.
Yeah, definitely listen.
Read Kyle's book.
TripAdvisor, you should definitely sponsor this. Same with Alaska.
I will go home and get on TripAdvisor right now.
Yeah. No, Phoebe, super glad that we could talk about your travel experiences.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun talking about it today.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully enjoyed chatting about everything.
Yeah.
And let's do it again soon.
I'm down with it. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I will see you in some part of the world soon.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everyone. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always listen to other episodes on Spotify or Anchor. The links are in the description below. If you want to see travel pictures from today's guest and other guests, as well as my own travel photos, you can see them on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. If you want to share your own travel pictures on the page and or share your travel experiences on the podcast, you can message me on that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to hear about your travel experiences and see all the beautiful pictures that you've taken. Thanks again for listening, everyone, and I look forward to sharing the world with you again soon.